Commander Park Min-soo wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the glowing screens in the underground bunker. The air was thick and humid, 300 meters below Mount Jiri. He had been doing this job for 15 years, watching the Watchers, and tonight felt different. The Raxian ships were moving in patterns he had never seen before. "Another sweep coming in, sir," Lieutenant Kim Hana whispered from her station. Her fingers danced across the holographic display as alien signals washed over Earth like invisible waves. "They're being more thorough this time, almost like they're preparing for something." Min-soo nodded slowly. The Raxians had been watching Earth for 30 long years, studying humans like insects under a microscope. They saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see. Primitive rockets that barely reached orbit. Simple satellites that looked like children's toys. Nuclear weapons that seemed impressive to humans, but were laughable to a species that could destroy stars. But they missed everything that mattered. "Signal the Pacific Station," Min-soo ordered. "Tell Captain Lee that the aliens are getting restless. It might be time." High above the Pacific Ocean, where the water stretched endlessly in all directions, Captain Lee Do-hyun floated in zero gravity aboard the Seoul's Pride. The massive ship hung invisible in space, its hull covered in technology that bent light and fooled sensors. Around him, 47 other ships waited in perfect silence like sleeping dragons. "Captain, incoming message from Mount Jiri," Ensign Choi Soo-min reported. She was young, maybe 25, but her hands were steady as she worked the communication array. "Commander Park says the Vraxians are preparing for something big." Lee pushed himself toward the main viewing port and stared at Earth below. The blue marble looked so peaceful, so defenseless. The Vraxians probably thought they could take it in a day. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for war since the first alien probe was detected in 1995. The breakthrough had come from a stroke of pure luck. A Vraxian scout ship had crashed in the Siberian wilderness in 2001. The Russian government had secretly shared the wreckage with other nations, and the world's best scientists had spent decades figuring out how alien technology worked. But humans didn't just copy it, they improved it. "Sir, we're getting reports from our deep space monitoring stations," called out Lieutenant Commander Park So-young from the tactical station. "The Vraxian fleet is massing near Jupiter. Looks like they're finally ready to make their move." Lee smiled coldly. "Let them come." Far away in space, aboard the massive Vraxian flagship Dominion's Edge, Commander Thexara reviewed the final intelligence reports on Earth. The humans were exactly what they appeared to be: violent, primitive, trapped on their homeworld with technology that was thousands of years behind Vraxian standards. "The planet has abundant water and minerals," he reported to the High Council through the quantum communicator. "The native species shows no signs of faster-than-light travel. Their most advanced weapons are fusion bombs that could barely scratch our hull plating." The High Council's response came immediately. "Excellent. Begin the harvesting operation. The humans may be relocated to work colonies if they prove useful. If not, eliminate them." Thexara studied the holographic display showing Earth's major cities: Seoul, New York, London, Moscow. All of them would be under Vraxian control within days. The humans would never know what hit them. But deep beneath Mount Jiri, Commander Park Min-soo was watching everything. Hidden sensors scattered throughout the solar system tracked every Vraxian ship movement. Human agents embedded in alien-controlled worlds had been sending intelligence for years. The Vraxians thought they were the hunters, but they had become the prey. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the Vraxian fleet," Lieutenant Kim Hana reported urgently. "They're powering up their weapons systems." Min-soo reached for the red communication device that he had hoped never to use. When he activated it, every hidden human facility across the globe would receive the same message. Operation Thunder was about to begin. "Get me Admiral Song on Lunar Base Alpha," he ordered, "and patch me through to all stealth ships in orbit. It's time to show these aliens what humans can really do." Above Earth, Captain Lee received the signal he had been waiting for. Around him, his crew moved with practiced efficiency, preparing weapons that the Vraxians had never seen before. The stealth ships began moving into attack formation, still invisible to alien sensors. The Vraxians were about to learn that humans were very good at keeping secrets, and even better at springing traps. In space, the alien fleet moved toward Earth like a great metal storm, confident in their superiority. They had conquered dozens of worlds, enslaved countless species. Earth would be just another victory, but this time the prey had teeth. The first thing people in Seoul noticed was the shadow. At exactly 7:42 a.m., the morning sun disappeared as if someone had turned off a giant light switch. Then came the sound, a deep humming that made windows vibrate and car alarms go off across the entire city. Park Ji-hoon was drinking coffee in his apartment when he looked up and saw the massive ship hanging in the sky. It was the size of a mountain, all dark metal and glowing red lights. His coffee cup slipped from his hands and shattered on the floor. "This can't be real," he whispered. But it was. 3 enormous Vraxian dreadnoughts floated above Seoul like metal gods, their hulls bristling with weapons that could level the city in minutes. The same scene was happening in New York, London, Beijing, and Moscow. 15 massive alien warships had appeared out of nowhere, positioning themselves over Earth's major capitals. In the Blue House, President Yoon Ji-hae watched the live feeds on multiple screens. Her hands were steady as she reached for the secure phone. Around her, military advisors and government officials waited for orders, but their faces showed no panic. They had been preparing for this moment for decades. "Activate Protocol 7, she said calmly into the phone. Across the planet, hidden facilities received the coded message. In remote mountains, beneath office buildings, under the ocean floor, humanity's real defenses began to wake up. The alien broadcast hit every device on Earth at the same time. Televisions, radios, cell phones, even digital billboards suddenly displayed the same message. Commander Thexara's face appeared on screens everywhere, a creature with 4 eyes and skin like grey leather. "Humans of Earth," his voice boomed, in perfect English, somehow speaking every language on the planet simultaneously. "Your primitive species will surrender immediately. You will serve the Vraxian Empire. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your cities. You have 1 hour to respond." In downtown Seoul, people stood in the street staring up at the alien ships. Some screamed, some prayed, but many just stood there in shock. The ships were so big they blocked out half the sky. But in space, hidden from Vraxian sensors, Admiral Song Kyung-ho smiled as he watched the alien formations from his flagship. The stealth carrier Incheon's Hammer floated invisible among the stars, its crew ready for battle. "Major Park, look at their positioning," he said to his aide. "They're following the exact tactical manual we intercepted 5 years ago. Every ship is exactly where our intelligence predicted they would be." Major Park So-young nodded as she studied the holographic display. 30 years of watching them watch us, sir. We know their playbook better than they do." The Vraxians expected chaos. They expected human military forces to scramble desperately, launching primitive fighter jets that would be swatted down like flies. They expected world leaders to beg for mercy on live television. Instead, they got something they had never seen before from a conquered species, a formal diplomatic response. President Yoon's message was broadcast on all frequencies. To the representatives of the Vraxian Empire, the government of Earth acknowledges your presence and requests a formal meeting to discuss terms. We propose a diplomatic conference aboard your flagship in 12 hours. On the bridge of Dominion's edge, Commander Thexara stared at the message in confusion. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of extreme puzzlement among his species. "They want to negotiate?" he asked his second-in-command. "Where are their military forces? Why aren't their cities evacuating?" Below on Earth, things were happening that the Vraxians couldn't see. In what looked like an ordinary car factory in Detroit, the roof began to split open like a flower blooming. Hidden beneath the factory floor, massive particle beam cannons rose into position, their targeting systems already locked onto the alien ships above. In the mountains of Colorado, a ski resort that had been closed for renovations suddenly revealed its true purpose. The fake snow-covered slopes slid away, exposing launch tubes filled with missiles that used technology the aliens had never encountered. The International Space Station, which the Vraxians had dismissed as a primitive research platform, began to unfold like a deadly mechanical origami. Hidden weapon ports opened along its hull, revealing railguns and plasma cannons that had been disguised as communication arrays for years. Captain Lee Do-yun received the final authorization signal aboard the Seoul's Pride. Around him, 47 other stealth ships began moving into attack positions. The crews had trained for this moment their entire careers. "All units, this is actual," Lee spoke into his communicator. "The trap is set. Enemy forces are exactly where we want them. Prepare for simultaneous strike on my mark." On Earth, people watched the alien ships and waited. They didn't know that beneath their feet, humanity's true weapons were powering up. They didn't know that their species had been preparing for this war for 3 decades. The Vraxians thought they were looking down at a helpless, primitive world. They had no idea they were staring into the mouth of a trap that was about to snap shut with the force of thunder. The hunting season was about to begin, and humanity was done being the prey. The clock on Admiral Song's bridge showed 14:29 Universal Time. Every human ship across the galaxy was synchronized to this moment. Song's finger hovered over the activation switch as he counted down the final seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Execute. The silence of space shattered like glass. Above Earth, the impossible happened. 48 massive human warships materialized out of thin air, their sleek black hulls appearing around the Vraxian fleet like ghosts becoming solid. The alien ships, which had been floating confidently over Earth's cities, suddenly found themselves surrounded by vessels they never knew existed. Captain Lee Do-yun felt his heart pound as the Seoul's Pride dropped its stealth field. Around him, his crew worked with deadly efficiency, their weapons already locked onto Vraxian targets. The aliens had been sitting ducks, and they didn't even know it. "All batteries, fire at will," Lee commanded. Brilliant beams of energy lanced out from the human ships, striking the Vraxian vessels with weapons that seemed to ignore their shields. The aliens had designed their defenses to stop primitive human technology, nuclear missiles, and chemical explosives. They had no protection against weapons built from their own stolen technology, improved by human ingenuity. On the bridge of Dominion's edge, Commander Thexara watched his tactical display explode with red warning lights. His 4 eyes widened in terror as he saw human ships appearing everywhere, their weapons tearing through Vraxian hulls like paper. "Impossible!" he screamed. "They have no interstellar capability. Our surveillance confirmed it." But the nightmare was just beginning. "Admiral, strike teams are reporting in," Major Park So-young announced from her station aboard the flagship. Admiral Song's voice crackled over the comm system to ships scattered across the galaxy. "All teams report status." "Alpha team engaging Vraxian supply depot at Kepler 442, came the crisp voice of Captain Han Ji-won. Her ship, the Busan's Fury, had been hiding in the asteroid field around the distant star for 3 months. "Target eliminated. The depot is space dust." "Beta team successful at Wolf 359 colony," reported Major Kim Tae-hyung from his stealth destroyer. "Their orbital defenses never saw us coming. Colony surrendered without firing a shot." Song smiled grimly. Across 17 star systems, human ships that had been positioned like invisible chess pieces were striking simultaneously. The Vraxians had spent 30 years watching Earth, never realizing that humanity had been spreading across the galaxy like a plague, hidden in the shadows. Lieutenant Colonel Shin Minji banked her fighter hard to the left as Vraxian plasma bolts sizzled past her cockpit. Her squadron of 12 ships moved through the alien formation like sharks through a school of fish. "Tiger Squadron, target their communication arrays first," she ordered over the radio. "Cut off their coordination, then go for the weapon systems." Her fighter, the Seoul's Lightning, was barely the size of a Vraxian shuttle, but it moved with incredible speed and agility. The human ships had been designed to fight enemies 10 times their size, using superior speed and tactics instead of brute force. "Tiger 2, I've got a lock on their main comm array," called out Lieutenant Park Hyung-sok. His fighter dove toward the massive Vraxian dreadnought, dodging defensive fire with moves that would have been impossible for a larger ship. "Take the shot," Minji ordered. The communication array exploded in a shower of sparks and debris. Suddenly, The Vraxian ships could no longer coordinate their attacks. They were fighting blind, each ship on its own against an enemy that seemed to know their every move. On Earth, people in Seoul looked up in amazement as they watched the battle unfold above their city. The Vraxian ships that had seemed so threatening an hour ago were now burning wrecks, their hulls cracked open like broken eggs. Human fighters swarmed around them like angry bees, their weapons lighting up the sky with deadly fireworks. But the real shock came when the Vraxians tried to call for help from their homeworlds. "Sir," gasped a Vraxian sensor operator aboard Dominion's Edge, his voice shaking with terror. "We're receiving distress signals from the core worlds. Vraxia Prime is under attack. So is the military headquarters at Zentaurus. They're reporting human ships everywhere." Thexara's 4 eyes bulged with disbelief. "That's impossible. Humans can't travel faster than light. They're trapped on their homeworld." The truth hit him like a physical blow. The humans had been lying. For 30 years, they had been pretending to be primitive while secretly building an interstellar empire. Every piece of intelligence the Vraxians had gathered was false. Every assumption they had made was wrong. Captain Lee watched the main Vraxian dreadnought try to retreat, its engines struggling to escape Earth's gravity well. "Negative, alien ship. You came here to conquer us. Now you get to see what humans do to conquerors." The Soul's Pride fired its main cannon, a weapon that channeled the power of a small star. The beam struck the Vraxian ship dead center, and the massive vessel simply disintegrated, its atoms scattered across space. As explosions bloomed across the alien fleet like deadly flowers, the message became crystal clear. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity was very good at hunting. The emergency session of the Galactic Hegemony Council had never seen anything like this. Representatives from dozens of alien species sat in their floating chairs, watching. Holographic displays that showed the impossible. Red dots marked Vraxian installations under attack across the galaxy. 14 simultaneous strikes by a species that wasn't supposed to exist beyond their home world. Councillor Gethmak, a towering, insectoid creature with 6 arms, pointed at the main display with obvious disbelief. "The humans have destroyed the Vraxian supply depot at Rigel 7. They've captured the military academy on Centauri B. Their ships are appearing everywhere, and our sensors still can't detect them properly." Ambassador Vex Thul from the Crystalline Coalition shifted nervously, her translucent body flickering with worried colors. "How is this possible? Our intelligence reports said humans were confined to Earth. They had no faster-than-light travel, no advanced weapons." "Apparently," Gethmak said grimly, "our intelligence was wrong. On the dark side of Earth's moon, Colonel Baek Gina sat in a command center that officially didn't exist. Banks of computers processed signals from across the galaxy, intercepting alien communications in real time. Her team of specialists worked quietly, their faces lit by screens showing Vraxian panic spreading through their empire. "Admiral Song, we're picking up massive chatter from Vraxian command networks," she reported through her headset. "They're completely confused, broadcasting the intercepted communications now on all frequencies. Let the galaxy hear how terrified they are." The stolen Vraxian messages crackled across space, transmitted by human relay stations hidden throughout the galaxy. The alien voices were filled with fear and confusion. "Base Commander, we need immediate reinforcements. The humans somehow knew about our hidden weapon caches. This is impossible. They've been inside our computer networks for years. How long have they been watching us?" "Command, the humans are using our own tactical data against us. They know our ship layouts better than we do." In the Hegemony Council chambers, the alien representatives listened to these transmissions in growing horror. If humans could do this to the mighty Vraxian Empire, what did that mean for the rest of the galaxy? Captain Oh Sungmin crouched behind a melted piece of metal as Vraxian plasma bolts sizzled overhead. Around him, his marine squad moved through the corridors of Keth Prime's main fortress like they owned the place. Their armor was sleek and black, equipped with technology that seemed to predict every alien defensive measure. "Ghost Company, advance to the command center," he whispered into his comm unit. "Remember, we want their data cores intact. Intelligence needs everything they've got on galactic defense networks." Sergeant Kim Minna nodded and signaled her team forward. They moved like shadows, their armor bending light around them to provide partial invisibility. The Vraxian defenders couldn't understand how human soldiers were appearing behind their lines, inside supposedly secure areas. "How are they getting past our force fields?" a Vraxian soldier screamed into his communicator before Miner's stun weapon dropped him unconscious. The answer was simple. Humans had studied Vraxian technology for decades. Every force field had a frequency, every security system had a weakness. The aliens had unknowingly taught humanity how to defeat them. Back in space, the Vraxian survivors were desperately trying to contact their allies. Commander Thexara, his ship badly damaged and listing to one side, sent out emergency transmissions to anyone who would listen. "This is Commander Thexara to all hegemony forces," he broadcast frantically. "The humans are not what they appear to be. They have advanced technology, stealth ships, weapons we've never seen. They've been deceiving us for decades." But before any allies could respond, Admiral Song's voice cut across all communication frequencies. His words were calm, measured, and absolutely terrifying in their confidence. "Commander Thexara, your allies are listening, but they can't help you now. You see, we've been monitoring your communications for 30 years. Every tactical manual, every ship design, every defensive strategy, we have them all. In the Council chambers, the alien representatives watched in stunned silence as Admiral Song's image appeared on their screens. He was human, but he spoke with the authority of someone who held all the cards. "You watched us for 3 decades, Song continued, thinking you were studying primitive creatures, but we were watching you right back. Every probe you sent, every surveillance sweep, every piece of data you collected, we made sure you saw exactly what we wanted you to see." The truth was devastating. While the Vraxians thought they were observing a helpless species, humanity had been running the greatest deception in galactic history. Every rocket launch the aliens had dismissed as primitive had actually been deploying components of a vast intelligence network. Every failed human space mission had actually been placing monitoring devices throughout Vraxian space. As reports continued flooding in about Vraxian colonies surrendering or being captured, the galaxy began to understand something that chilled them to their cores. Humanity hadn't just defeated the Vraxian Empire. They had been playing a game that no one else even knew existed. The hunters had become the hunted, and the prey had revealed itself to be the most dangerous predator the galaxy had ever seen. The war that had shaken the galaxy to its core ended not with massive explosions or the destruction of entire worlds, but with something far more terrifying to the alien powers, humanity's choice to show mercy. General Li Hyunwoo walked through the ruins of the Vraxian capital city on Vraxia Prime. The once mighty buildings lay in rubble, but human medical teams were already setting up field hospitals to treat wounded aliens. Vraxian civilians watched in confusion as the same humans who had just crushed their military were now offering food and medicine to their families. "We could have turned every Vraxian world into burning ash," Li said to the defeated alien commanders, gathered before him. His voice was calm, almost gentle, but every word carried the weight of absolute power. "We had the weapons, we had the ships. We chose not to use them. I want you to remember that choice every day for the rest of your lives." Commander Thexara, his 4 eyes now dim with defeat, looked up at the human general. "Why?" he whispered. "Why spare us after what we tried to do to your world?" Li smiled sadly. "Because destroying you would have made us just like you, and we're better than that." The real shock came 3 weeks later during the peace negotiations on the neutral world of Kepler Station. Representatives from across the galaxy had gathered to witness the surrender ceremony and try to understand how everything had gone so wrong. Ambassador Park Yoonji stood before the massive assembly, her voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. She was about to reveal the greatest secret in galactic history. 37 years ago, she began, humanity was contacted by the Keltorian Confederation. They offered us membership in the galactic community, advanced technology, and protection from hostile species like the Vraxians. The Keltorian representative, a tall blue-skinned humanoid named Zektar, nodded slowly. "This is true. We detected your species' first radio broadcasts and wanted to welcome you peacefully. And we said no, Park continued. We declined your generous offer. The entire assembly erupted in confused chatter. Species throughout the galaxy dreamed of being invited to join the advanced Keltorian Confederation. Why would anyone refuse? The Hegemony Council's chief representative, a massive creature that looked like a walking tree, leaned forward. Why would you refuse such an offer? The Keltorians could have protected you from the Vraxians. President Yoon Jahai stepped forward, her presence commanding immediate silence. Because we didn't want protection. We didn't want to be the junior partner in someone else's empire. We wanted to join the galactic community as equals, not as grateful refugees. The truth hit the assembled aliens like a physical blow. Earth's supposed isolation had been completely fake. For nearly 4 decades, humanity had been in secret contact with alien civilizations, learning their languages, studying their technology, and preparing for the day they would reveal themselves. We used those decades wisely, Yoon continued. We established hidden colonies throughout the galaxy. We built fleets of ships that your sensors couldn't detect. We created an intelligence network that reached into every major alien civilization, all while pretending to be primitive and helpless. Ambassador Vexthul from the Crystalline Coalition's body flashed angry red colors. You deceived us all. You made us believe you were weak. We made you believe what you wanted to believe. Admiral Song said as he joined the group on the stage. I saw chemical rockets and assumed we had no faster-than-light travel. You saw nuclear weapons and assumed we had no energy weapons. You never looked deeper because you didn't think we were worth the effort. The assembled aliens fell silent as they realized the full scope of humanity's deception. Every assumption they had made about Earth had been carefully crafted lies. The primitive humans had been playing a game of chess, while everyone else thought they were playing checkers. Admiral Song walked to the great viewing window of Kepler Station, where ships from dozens of species floated in space. Among them were the sleek black forms of human vessels, no longer hiding in the shadows. Lieutenant Im Na-young joined him at the window. She was young, barely 25, but she had been part of the deception since she was a child. Admiral, do you think the other species will ever trust us again? We fooled them all for so long. Song watched as a Keltorian diplomatic ship approached the station, its crew probably still trying to understand how the humans they had wanted to protect had become the most powerful force in the local galaxy. Trust was never the goal, he said, quietly. Trust has to be earned over time. But respect can be demanded. And after what we've accomplished, every species in this galaxy respects humanity now. The ceremony concluded with humanity officially joining the Galactic Council, not as junior members or protégés, but as equals. The species that had been dismissed as primitive backworlders now held seats of power alongside civilizations that were thousands of years older. As the alien representatives departed Kepler Station, they carried with them a new understanding of humanity and a lesson that would echo through the galaxy for generations. Never underestimate the species that chooses to appear weak while growing strong in the shadows. Humanity had announced itself to the stars, not with desperate pleas for help or grateful acceptance of alien charity, but with thunder that shook. The foundations of galactic power. The age of human dominance had begun. The end.